support the Mike Zimmer Foundation?
It's awesome. You know, what Coach Zimmer and his foundation have kind of established here in the Twin Cities, and coming out here today raising money for scholarships. You know, people know about that little group that we have talking amongst our organization and what the Will family have done, kind of creating that platform for us to make changes in our community. And a lot has been made on the social justice issues. One of the things that we've focused a lot on is scholarships. So the importance of scholarships and the importance of education is huge. So for Coach Zimmer and his family, their foundation, to put so much of an emphasis into scholarships and the future. I say it all the time when I'm talking about the kids that we work with. Kids are the future of our world, and scholarships are going to empower these kids to have the knowledge to be the next president, be the next doctor, be the next lawyer. So it's incredible, and that's part of the reason why you have such a big turnout here today.
I suppose they don't have to twist your arm either, right? I mean, even with your giving back background, you're going to do as much as you can, but when Coach Zimmer says, hey, Kyle, I need you, it's okay.
Oh, absolutely. And, to have a day like this today in May, when his daughter Corey asked back in February or so, I was a little worried about an early May golf tournament, but we lucked out and we got a gorgeous day here today. And Zim's getting a little soft and gave us a shorter day this morning, but we'll take it when we can.
How's your game at this point here? You been out practicing at all?
A little bit. I'm playing in Tahoe later this summer, so I now have an excuse with my wife that unless she wants me to embarrass our family on national television, I got to play more golf this summer. So I've been able to play a couple times this spring. Had the girls out yesterday chipping and putting a little bit, trying to get them involved in the game. I figure if they grow up and love this game, then it'll be much easier for me to get out of the house and take them with me than leaving 3 kids at home.
It's a good story. Works.
Cool.
Well, football-wise, what's your take on all the rumors that are swirling that you possibly could be traded or released or what have you?
I can't focus on that a whole lot. I'm at voluntary workouts every day like I've always been. I'm not going to change my approach to this football team and what this organization means to me. My focus each and every day is just getting better as a player. And when I'm better as a player, that'll help this team be better, that'll help this offense be better. It's very evident that if we want to get to where we want to be, we have to get better on the offensive side of the football. So as a leader of this offense, as a guy that's been around here for a long time, that's me getting better in my game individually. So that's my focus right now, and until I hear otherwise, that's all I can worry about.
How do you feel about the Irv Smith selection?
He's a good player. We got to work together today for the first time. And I had talked to Rick about it, and I'm completely on board with the philosophy of you have to take the best player, and he was the best player available at that time. I think he can help our offense. The term mismatch gets thrown around a lot, and being in 11 personnel, having 3 wide receivers, you can be a pass-catching tight end, and you're not necessarily creating mismatches because there's an extra DB on the field. So for us to have both of us on the field at the same time, that's how you create mismatches, and that's how teams have kind of dictated things to defenses. When we have 2 tight ends on the field, we can dictate the tempo, the play. We have control, not the defense.
Is it hard to block it out? I mean, you go to a place, obviously, you know this organization well. This isn't really something you have to deal with before. Is it hard to block that out every day when you go to work?
Not really. It's hard to say because we're so busy. It's hard to be like, well, what do you mean you just block it out and go to work? But it is. I'm at work and doing what I'm doing there, and then I go home, and my kids certainly don't care what's being talked about or have any idea what's being talked about. They just know Dad's home and they want to play until it's time to go to bed. I've stated it many a times, my family, myself, we want to be here and we're going to do everything we can to be here. But that doesn't mean if the alternative happens and we do get traded, change happens. We've been so fortunate to be in one place for 8 years that you don't realize how many guys change teams on a yearly basis. Obviously, that's not what we're hoping for. We've been very fortunate to be in one place for going on 9 years, and this is home for us. It's going to be home for us, and that's the way we want it to be.
There was the report on Friday that contract negotiations had broken down. Do you know where things stand right now with all that?
I know my agent and Rob are working extremely hard, with Rick. We're in a tough situation as a team. You can't keep everybody, you can't pay everybody. So, those guys I know are working really hard to try to figure out something.
Do you imagine talks will reopen at some point, or do you think it's just this is where things stand, take it or leave it?
I certainly hope so. Like I said, this is where we want to be. This is where I want to finish my career. It's where I started my career. And like I said, I know Rick and Rob and my agent are working really hard to try to figure this out.
So they still are working through things. Okay.
Do you have any sort of deadline or spot that you hope to have clarity and know exactly what's going to happen?
Yeah, sooner rather than later. I don't want to be dealing with this come OTAs, minicamp, training camp. So the sooner the better. And I think that's for both parties. I think the Vikings want clarity. I think we want clarity. So yeah, sooner the better. Last week would have been great too. It's obviously it's a difficult situation. So there's a lot of complex things that go into it, and that takes time. It's not an easy cut. They like me, I like them. We want to stay here. It's just not the way it works.
Kyle, do you think your goodwill and what you've done in this community, helps you in a situation like this?
You would like to think so, but it's a business. Business decisions have to be made. I said the other night at the University of Minnesota Masonic Wine Fest that just because we're not here, the Rudolph family is not here, and we're placed somewhere else, doesn't mean that our impact on this community would change. Unfortunately, business decisions have to be made, and there's a lot of good guys in this league, and unfortunately, being a good guy can't outweigh business decisions that have to be made. And I understand that. I would certainly hope they don't just keep me here because I'm a good guy and I do good things in the community. I'd like to think they want to keep me because I'm a good football player. But when you're a good football player and you're a good person, I think that makes it that much harder and it makes them want to do something that much more.
Kyle, you said a couple weeks ago that you didn't know if extension talks had kind of started. When did they start, actually?
I think recently. Obviously, everyone knows our situation from a cash and a cap standpoint, and ideally, we'd like to get our draft pick signed. I'm not going to get into the business; that's Rick's job. But so yeah, recently.
Does the trade or release talk just baffle you? You talked about how the offense needs to be better. In theory, if you're gone, how does that help the offense?
You'd have to ask Kevin that question. Obviously, I think I make this offense better, and I want to be here. But there's business decisions that have to be made that don't necessarily cross over with X's and O's.
Hey,
Yeah, Sid, what's up?
Last one.
assuming you'll be here, is the offense a lot different?
I think we'll have a different element. We haven't played with two tight ends since I've been here. I think you have to go back to even before I was here and see what they were doing with Jim Kleinsasser and Vasante Shenko playing together. So I do think that will add a different element to our offense. Like I mentioned before, I think it makes us a little more unpredictable. We can kind of dictate things that we want to do and things that we want to accomplish as an offense, whereas when you're in three wide with one tight end and then shotgun, there's not a whole lot you can do. You become very predictable, and I think that's what got us in trouble last year. We got away from things we did in 2017 that made us really good.
What do you think Kubiak?
Oh, I like him a lot. I like, you just sit there and, Kevin introduced him and talked about how many Super Bowls he's been a part of. I was a fan of this game and a student of this game way before I was a player. And I watched what they did in Houston all those years. I saw the offense he had in Baltimore for a year and obviously over at Denver when they won the Super Bowl. So I'm excited to work with a guy like that brings that much knowledge and that much experience to our offense. I think he's really going to help us out a lot.
Think you'll run the ball a lot more?
I don't think we have a choice. I think we're going to have to run the ball a lot more.
What about the offensive line? Think that'll be better?
I do think it'll be better, and I also think we're going to put them in better situations. You go look at the statistics last year, and we dropped back 2/3 of the time that we threw the football. You could have 5 Hall of Famers on the offensive line, and the rushers nowadays are just so talented that if they know the quarterback's going to be standing in the middle of the pocket at 9 yards 2/3 of the time, they're going to get home. So, for us, it'll be important to move Kirk around a little bit and not be so predictable.
What have you seen? The new tight end.
Last one, guys.
Yeah, today was our first day, so good to have him out there. And like I said, I think he's going to add an element to our offense that we haven't had here since I've been here.